Welcome to Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge, where we will discuss and discover the challenges and triumphs of those living with NLD, nonverbal learning disability, and other learning challenges such as autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dysgraphia, and any other invisible learning differences that one may live with. And I like to interview individuals as well who live with various learning challenges. So if you know anybody, please point me their way, or if you are that individual, I would love to interview you on various topics. So please let me know. And I welcome you to this podcast. Okay, so today's episode will be about an email I got back in February because I wanted to do it. Sorry, got tongue-tied. Let me start over. Today's episode will be on an email I got back in February. It is about the urgent policy updates affecting people with disabilities, and it was from James Lane. I interviewed him last year on this podcast about his book on financial planning for when you have a neurodiverse child or children. I'm going to read the whole email to you, and I'll dissect it to you as I read it. I don't usually talk about politics on this podcast, but I will now because this is important, and if I don't, then who will? Also, the policy changes would be good for you to know about, and please share with your family and friends. Thanks. I'll also be using ChatGPT to help me analyze the email too. So let's begin. The email says, "Dear Jennifer, I hope this message finds you well. I am reaching out to share some important updates about recent events and policy changes that could impact individuals with disabilities and their families. President Trump's recent remarks and their implications on January 29th, 2025, a tragic mid-air collision occurred near Washington, D.C., resulting in the loss of 67 lives. In response, President Trump suggested that the hiring of people with disabilities in critical safety roles was a contributing factor, implying that diversity hiring initiatives at the Federal Aviation Administration were responsible for the accident. I find these remarks deeply troubling. These statements not only perpetuate harmful and false stereotypes, but also undermine the immense value that individuals with disabilities bring to the workforce. The implication that people with disabilities are inherently less competent is offensive, dangerous, and wholly unsupported by facts. The National Disability Rights Network, along with many other advocacy organizations, has rightfully commended these comments, emphasizing that hiring qualified individuals with disabilities strengthens rather than weakens critical industries. At a time when the disability community is already facing multiple challenges, having a president promote such misinformation adds another layer of fear and uncertainty. Unfortunately, these comments may be an indication of the policy direction his administration will take in the coming months. I agree with James there. Policy developments that could impact people with disabilities. Since the start of President Trump's second term, several executive orders and policy proposals have surfaced that could have serious consequences for people with disabilities. Below is a summary of key developments and what they could mean for the disability community. Elimination of federal taxes on Social Security benefits policy proposal. The administration has proposed ending federal taxation of Social Security benefits. While this could increase net benefits for some retirees, it may also reduce the funding that supports Social Security programs, including SSI and SSDI. Some experts warn that this could accelerate the depletion of Social Security trust funds, leading to the long-term financial instability in these programs. So with that first point that the letter makes, first of all, the accusation that Trump had about the tragedy with the airplane flight is just wrong and not true. And is a lot of misinformation, like the letter said. And with the first point, elimination of federal taxes on Social Security benefits and that policy proposal, it's basically saying that they're going to proposed ending federal taxation of Social Security benefits, which could increase net benefits for some retirees, may also reduce the funding that supports Social Security programs. And experts warn this could accelerate the depletion of Social Security trust funds, leading to long term financial instability in these programs. So I reread that because I want you to try to picture if you have a learning difference or if you have a learning challenge or something physical that is a disability that you have to use Social Security for because you can't work or you can't work a full-time job like some people can or most people can. And the funding for Social Security is going to be depleted. Basically, you're going to have to get more income somehow, and that's going to be challenging because if you can't really work in the normal way, that normal in quotes, that most people can, then you're going to have to rely on other people for support, like your parents. So that's my take on that. Next part from the email is Project 2025 proposed reductions in disability benefits policy proposal. Project 2025, a detailed policy blueprint developed by conservatives, think tanks, and advisors to the Trump administration, calls for the major restructuring of federal benefits programs, including SSI and SSD. The plan suggests limiting or capping lifetime disability benefits, introducing stricter eligibility criteria, and reducing federal Medicaid funding, which could impact the health care coverage of millions of disabled individuals. Russell Vought, I think I'm saying that right, a key architect of Project 2025, was recently confirmed as a director of the Office of Management and Budget, OMB. This office is responsible for shaping the federal budget, and under his leadership, entitlement programs like SSI and SSDI and Medicaid are more likely to face funding cuts or structural changes in the line with Project 2025's goals. If implemented, these changes could result in significant reductions in financial assistance for people with disabilities. Again, my thoughts about that part. Again, reducing Social Security and Medicaid and SSDI it's just not good. It doesn't make sense because they're governmental aid that are there for a reason for people who need them. It's just common sense to me. Um, I hope it is to you too. Uh, Also from the email from James Lane, Medicaid funding cuts proposed budget plan. The administration has proposed cutting federal Medicaid funding to help finance tax cuts. These cuts could force states to reduce Medicaid services, potentially eliminating critical supports such as home and community-based services for disabled individuals. Some states, including Arkansas, Iowa, and South Carolina, have already begun exploring Medicaid work requirements, which could create new administrative barriers for disabled recipients who rely on Medicaid for healthcare and support services. So, with that piece, it's like, why would you want to put up barriers for people who need Medicaid and are working in these states? Yeah, it's like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Next part from the email, rescinding drug pricing initiatives executive order. The administration has reversed several Biden era policies aimed at reducing prescription drug costs. These repeals include lifting caps on out-of-pocket costs for Medicare and Medicaid recipients and reversing efforts to allow the federal government to negotiate lower drug prices. Again, that's not a good thing. Also from the email, elimination of diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI programs executive order. Administration has dismantled federal DEI programs, which have historically played a crucial role in ensuring fair hiring practices and reasonable accommodations for disabled workers. The removal of DEI programs may lead to weaker enforcement of workplace protections, fewer opportunities for individuals with disabilities, and greater administrative hurdles when applying for benefits like SSI and SSDI. I recognize that these developments can feel overwhelming while some of these changes are still proposals and have not yet taken effect. I believe it is important to stay informed and be prepared. I agree with him. I think that part speaks for itself. Last part of the email. A proactive step you can take to protect your child's financial future. In light of these uncertainties, I strongly encourage you to take proactive steps to ensure to secure your child's financial future. As a parent of a daughter with a severe disability, I know how important it is to ensure that our children will have the financial resources they need, especially when government benefits may become less reliable. This is from James. If you have not already received your free hardcover copy of my book, Retire Secure for Parents of a Child with a Disability, I'd like to offer you one now. In this book, I detail the three key long term planning strategies I used to secure an additional 1.9 million in today's dollars for my daughter's future strategies that can help you maximize your child's financial security as well. Click here to request your free copy of the book. Our services, comprehensive planning for your family's future. While my book provides a step-by-step guide to long-term financial security, many parents find that they need personalized guidance to implement these strategies effectively. That's where my team and I come in. Final thoughts. I know that many parents of children with disabilities are deeply worried about what the future holds. I want you to know that I share your concerns and I will continue to track policy changes that affect the disability community and provide updates to help you navigate these challenges. In the meantime, I encourage you to take steps to strengthen your family's financial future. If you haven't already, request your free copy of Retire Secure for Parents of a Child with a Disability. And if you're ready to take the next step, schedule a consultation to discuss a financial plan that works for you. Together, we can ensure that our children have financial security they need, regardless of what happens. In warm regards, James Lane. So that email, basically the key points of it were that President Trump's remarks on diversity hiring following a tragic mid-air collision on January 29th, 2025. President Trump suggested that the hiring of individuals with disabilities in critical safety roles contributed to the accident. These comments have been widely condemned by advocacy organizations for perpetuating harmful stereotypes. 2. Elimination of federal taxes on Social Security benefits. The administration proposes ending federal taxation of Social Security benefits. While this may increase net benefits for some retirees, experts warn it could reduce funding for programs like Supplemental Security Income (SSI) and Social Security Disability Insurance (SSDI), potentially accelerating the depletion of Social Security trust funds. 3. Project 2025's proposed reductions in disability benefits. Project 2025, developed by conservative think tanks, suggests major restructuring of federal benefits programs, including SSI and SSDI. Recommendations include capping lifetime disability benefits, introducing stricter eligibility criteria, blah, and reducing federal Medicaid funding, which could affect healthcare coverage for millions of disabled individuals. Number 4, Medicaid funding cuts. To finance tax cuts, the administration has proposed reducing federal Medicaid funding. Such cuts could force states to limit Medicaid services, potentially limiting critical supports like home and community in community based services for disabled individuals. Some states are also exploring Medicaid work requirements, creating additional barriers for recipients. Number five, rescinding drug pricing initiatives, reversal of policies aimed at reducing prescription drug costs is underway, including lifting caps on out of pocket expenses for Medicare and Medicaid recipients and halting the efforts to allow the federal government to negotiate lower drug prices. Lastly, elimination of diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI programs. The administration has dismantled federal DEI programs, which have been instrumental in ensuring fair hiring practices and reasonable accommodations for disabled workers. This move may lead to weaker enforcement of workplace protections and fewer opportunities for individuals with disabilities. In light of these developments, Lane emphasizes the importance of proactive financial planning to secure the future of individuals with disabilities. He offers resources, including his book, Retire Secure, for parents of a child with a disability, and consultation services to assist families in navigating these uncertain times. If you want to go to the interview for about that book, I will include that link in the podcast notes. So basically, that email was from James Lang, and it discusses recent policy changes under President Trump's second term that could impact individuals with disabilities, including proposed cuts to Social Security, Medicaid, and disability benefits, as well as the elimination of DEI programs and drug pricing protections. He strongly criticizes Trump's remarks linking diversity hiring to a tragic aviation accident, calling them harmful and misleading. The email then shifts to promoting financial security, offering a free book and consultation on retirement and estate planning for parents of children with disabilities. It concludes with a call to action, urging recipients to take proactive steps to secure their family's future amidst political uncertainty. I hope this episode was helpful for you. I'm sorry it was kind of long and complicated and complex, but I think it was a good one to do. And like I said in the beginning, if I'm not going to do it, who would do this? So please share this with your family and friends. Thank you. I'll talk to you next week. And if any of that recording sounded weird to you, I've been going through a lot of personal stuff recently, and it was tricky for me to record this, just saying that. Thank you.
I hope that episode was well worth it for you to listen to and that you were able to take something away from it, even if you don't have a learning challenge, or if you do. I hope it was extra worthwhile for you so that you are able to learn something and maybe journal and jot down some few takeaways so that the next time you experience that challenge yourself, you're able to um, learn how to breathe through it more easily, or maybe not have a meltdown or a tantrum, or be able to take away more learning from it and not make the same mistake twice, and be able to also help somebody else go through that experience if you have a friend who has a learning difference and you are neurotypical. So I hope you will be able to have those some experiences in your life now that you have listened to this episode.